Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the CRA Advisory Committee meeting for this Monday, October the 9th, 2023. Call this meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Good evening. Chairman Michael McDermott,
Present.
Committee Member Blanca Cobo,
Present.
Committee Member Kenneth Each,
Present.
Committee Member Naomi Blemure.
Present.
Okay.
You have a quorum to proceed.
Okay, can we pledge of allegiance, please? Kenny, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I don't think we have a consent agenda, correct?
We do not have a consent agenda today.
Okay. All right, so let's begin with the items for review with item A, agenda item 1.
Good afternoon. So, one second. Yes. The NMCRA staff is requesting that the advisory committee make a recommendation to authorize a professional services agreement with the firm of Taylor English Duma LLP for legal services for the fiscal year of 23-24 at an annual cost not to exceed $150,000. Mr. Steven Zelkowitz is the attorney with that firm who has consistently provided the NMCRA with legal services since the inception of the agency, and he's now a partner of Taylor English Duma LLP, and staff is seeking a continuation of representation.
Okay. Steve?
Just, no, this is from the other meeting.
Okay.
So the engagement letter is the same engagement letter that we've used in the past. The cost is the same as we've done in the past, I think 4 years, which is the $150,000. So everything remains the same. So each year we just have to approve the contract for the coming year.
Okay.
And so staff is recommending, and I'm respectfully requesting that you approve it.
Okay. Well, I can give you my opinion. I think Steve has been a great asset to this board. Been here a long time, and you've accomplished a lot in the time that you've been here, and I think you're of great value to us
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
and to the city. I'd like to have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, you want to have a roll call?
Committee Member Kenneth Each,
Yes.
Committee Member Blanca Cobo,
Yes.
Committee Member Naomi Blemure,
Yes.
Chairman Michael McDermott.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes,
Thank you very much.
or the recommendation passes. Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 2.
NMCRA staff is requesting that approval for the fiscal year 23-24 interlocal services agreement between the NMCRA and the City of North Miami for indirect services to be rendered. The NMCRA shall pay to the City of North Miami $600,000 for the indirect services to be provided in the fiscal year of 23-24. These services include, but are not limited to, use of the City Manager's Office, the Finance Department, Budget Department, City's Clerk's Office, Personnel Department, Community Planning and Development Department, Building Department, Code Compliance Department, Parks and Recreation Department, Purchasing Department, Public Works Department, Innovation Technology Department, and the Risk Management Team. The agreement will be renewed annually as fees and services may change.
Okay. Now, is this interlocal agreement, is it basically what we've had prior? Are there any changes?
This is the same format. The price is the same as it was last year. And basically what this allows is that the CRA is able to access city services and city staff is able to work on behalf of the CRA through this interlocal agreement. And we compensate the City of North Miami with $600,000 for those services, access for those services for this fiscal year. The cost has not increased from last year. It is the same cost that we incurred last year.
Okay. Any questions from any board member?
We did this last year.
Yeah, basically, it's a cookie cutter of last year, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I
Do I
make a
have-
motion that we approve.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call?
Okay. There's been a motion by Committee Member Kenneth Each and a second by Committee Member Blanco Cobo. Committee Member Kenneth Each,
Yes.
Committee Member Blanco Cobo, Committee Member Naomi Blemure,
Yes.
Chairman Michael McDermott.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, agenda item 3.
The NMCRA staff is requesting to approve the rescinding the grant of $200,000 that was awarded to Actualite 14100 LLC, which was for a business attraction grant. At the December 13th board meeting, Actualite 14100 LLC, based at 14100 West Dixie Highway, received a business attraction grant of $200,000. At this point, the grantee has informed us that they will no longer renovate the building due to increased construction costs, plans changing, and reevaluation. Instead, they plan to construct a 2-story building from scratch to fully utilize the land's potential.
Okay.
Where was the address of this business?
14100 West Dixie Highway. And just for more background, when the grantee received the funding, when they finally went back, it had taken them a long time since when they had initially made their application. Once they received their funding, by the construction costs had increased. And so when they looked at the cash flow from starting from scratch and building something bigger, rather than renovating what they currently had, it made more financial sense for the grantee to do something bigger, and it's not something that falls within our guidelines, so they preferred to return the grant. They didn't start using any of the funding, so they preferred to return the grant and then just get a loan to do
So
something else.
we're returning the grant.
Well, this is on the agenda for us to be able to receive the money back.
Yeah.
But
We're
that's what they
taking the
want.
money, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the rescission?
So moved.
Second. All right, roll call?
There's been a motion by Committee Member Kenneth Each and a second by Committee Member Blanco Cobo. Committee Member Kenneth Each,
Yes.
Committee Member Blanco Cobo, Committee Member Naomi Blemure,
Yes.
Chairman Michael McDermott.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Now I have a question. Now
Yes.
that we are going to receive this $200,000
Mhm.
back, how will it go back into the budget? Are you going to find opportunities for?
It will go back into the commercial grant line item,
Mhm.
and so if there, we'll have just $200,000 extra dollars to be able to support another business.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, agenda item number 4.
NMCRA staff is requesting approval for a proposal to install 2 gateway signs. In 2012, the NMCRA sponsored a master plan for signs. However, not all residential gateway signs were completed. We have received a proposal from Barron Sign Manufacturing for manufacturing and installing 2 signs. The total cost of the project is $38,809.28. These signs will be located at, the first location is on the median of 127th Street and Northwest 17th Avenue. The second location is between Northwest 7th and 8th Avenue on 125th Street. The Neighborhood Gateway Signs project was funded in fiscal year 2020 to 2021, and the unused funds have been carrying over.
Okay. If you click on the PDF,
Okay.
underneath, you'll see the signs. They're
Mhm.
basically the signs that we've used in other parts of the city.
I have a
Yeah.
question. Now, I have seen these signs throughout the city,
Yes.
and I must say, I think they are of not of the greatest material.
Okay.
And so, in my opinion, they do not wear well.
Okay.
That's right.
And so I'm a little concerned that, we actually currently have them. We see the fact that they're not wearing out
Mm-hmm.
well, and that we're going to continue to put up the same signs using the same material, and we already see that they don't do too well. And so you know, I'm gonna question why are we doing the same thing when it doesn't work?
So from what I understand, these are what are currently meeting the guidelines of our signage code. And so when we went out to do it, I mean, this was something that began in 2020. And so in order to stay in line with the code, we've been just using the guidelines. If there are new or sturdier materials that will still fall in line with code, we can look into that. The goal was to try and complete a project that has been carrying over for a few years, and
So
That was what-
only these two locations were missing
yes, these are the two locations that we needed to
complete from 2020.
Yes.
I mean, obviously everyone can chime in, but I think we can do better. They do not wear well.
They don't, you're exactly right. I was gonna say the same thing. They
Horrible.
do not wear well at all. Faded and.
Yeah, you
and-
can't, I mean, right now, depending on where you pass and you see one, you have to know it's there to
Mhm.
actually still remember that it's there.
Understood.
And this would be the same company that put them up before?
I know this is the company that I believe they are the same company that
Yeah,
has always done it, yes. These are aluminum wayfinding signage, yeah.
They're no good.
Understood.
I have to agree. I mean, they just fade right out.
Mhm.
It's, no, I don't mind approving it with the condition that we get a different company or a different material or something, but it's throwing good money after bad money. What was this, 2 years ago we did these signs or something?
Yeah.
Is it 2 years?
Yeah,
Well, you
about-
see it
about 2,
yourself,
3
Mike, I
years,
think,
yeah.
you know? It's just,
Yeah. Well, can we, council, can we approve this with the recommendation that the different design be added? We're just approving the funding, correct?
I think the funding's already been in the budget. You are approving that amount. If you want to approve it with perhaps or a recommendation that we can ask the company if there's some other treatment or material they can use to make it sturdier and more durable and long-lasting.
Yes,
I just, 2 years, it's gone.
completely understand.
Yeah.
And so just for clarification, how many besides these two have already gone up in the city?
I do not have that number today, but I can provide that to you at a later date.
But we know on average, two is costing us close to 40,000, right?
Correct.
How much?
That's a lot of
for
money.
That's a lot of
sign that
money.
fades.
Did we shop this out or anything, or?
Yes, this would have needed to have been bid out, correct?
I'm sorry, Steve, I can't hear.
I'm not sure if this was done or if it was because they have already been doing the signage. This was a part of the scope of work with an approved vendor. So
Well,
I can.
Yeah, I mean, we
right.
can look, originally it would have been.
The original, yes.
Originally, it would have been bid out, okay? So back in 2020,
yeah.
2021,
Right.
procurement department would have done a bid process.
Mhm.
So
And-
we're just working off the approved bid from previous.
Yeah,
Well,
but if we put up only 10, let's say we only put up 10, that's $195,000 for signs that are literally disappearing after 2 years. No.
And what was I didn't, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear, forgive me, I forgot to put my hearing aids in. How much is, we're budgeting this?
Well, these two signs are $38,809.28.
38,000.
Correct. Yes.
So it's about $19,000 a sign.
Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
that's a lot of, you're right, it's a lot of money
Mhm.
for a sign.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Sunkist Grove, is that one of the signs?
One of those signs is Suncrest Grove and the other one is Alhambra Circle.
The other one is where?
Alhambra?
Okay, I'm looking at them.
How well can the people see the signs? Because the colors are not,
Well, it's the green that just
Right.
fades. and
So
it
these
just-
are the colors that have been chosen by the code, so we do need to stay within the guidelines that have been provided by, I think it's zoning, planning and zoning. So I don't believe we're able to change the color scheme.
but can the people really see them?
because it's really the material, because this color green should actually be a pop color.
Right.
It's in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
it's the material that they're using that's causing it for it not to really bright up that area that they place it in. And so I don't think it's so much the color as it is the material that they're using.
Understood. And I'm happy to come and will be communicating the concerns of the committee to the board tomorrow, and they can factor that into whether they approve the installation.
So why don't we entertain a motion to approve the funding, or to approve the signs, yet with the caveat that we request that there be additional research or additional additions to the signs to make them more legible and sustainable?
Well, the sustainability is the big thing. I mean, if it's gonna last 2 years, you're just throwing good money after bad money. That's what I'm thinking. And, I mean, I see them, I walk and I say, oh, Jesus, the damn thing's faded out already. Unless they have some new material, new design, the whole thing. I mean, we can approve the budget, but I think you should go back and reshop it. I mean, we're not trying to,
I understand.
you know, I just, you know, we can approve it with the caveat that you go back and reshop the thing, and with our concerns in there about the sustainability, the design, and so forth and so on.
And it's just not us, because I've had a lot of people complain about those signs, how ugly they are.
Right.
Coming off of I-95,
Yeah.
people tell me, they say, oh, your city has such ugly signs. Yeah, you know, I just,
It really, it is,
yeah. it's
Or
so-
they
so
say we have no signs because they don't see
Can't
them
see
at all.
Right. Right.
To me, the color is not attractive.
Okay.
It doesn't call your eye to see what else is there.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
you wanna make a motion, Kenny?
I make a motion that we approve the money in the budget with the caveat that we reshop this with sustainability, design, color, so forth and so on, and even look at another vendor.
Would that be 2 motions? Can we do 2 so it can be very clear that we approve the budget but not the proposed 2 signs?
So
Or it's one of
even-
the same?
So if we were to reshop it, we would still need to bring it back to show you, so you could approve what the new vendor is putting forth.
You know, they should know our concerns. I mean,
No, I'm not
the-
saying
the
that you shouldn't.
citizens are the
I'm
ones that,
just-
you know,
yeah.
complain about, say, hey, well, that sign, Jesus, fading out, you
Yeah.
know? My neighbor said, what the heck is going on? It's-
You can do one motion or 2 motions. I mean, it's up to the board. I mean, you can do 1 motion or 2 motions. What was your motion, Mr. Each?
Well, I make
To
the
ap-
one motion, and you have the money in the budget, what I just said, with the addition.
Approving the
of
expenditure.
caveat
I
that,
mean, the money's in the budget, so
Mm-hmm.
approving the expenditure and the amount, but requesting that we go back to this manufacturer for durability issues, and if not satisfied, that we
and then you
find
bring it back to us and see if we, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe the CRA board tomorrow will approve it,
maybe.
but I think it's,
I think it should be 2 motions to be very clear to them exactly, so there's no misunderstandings.
Why don't, if you want, maybe why don't you make the motion then?
okay.
The first one, and then, and we'll do that, and then the second one.
So I think the first motion would be to approve the budget in the amount of the $38,809.28. And then there should be another motion to try a new vendor, or a motion to go to another vendor for another proposal.
All right, well, let's do the first motion first, the motion to approve the expenditure of $38,809.28 for 2 wayfinding, or 2 gateway signs. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay. Okay,
Roll call?
okay, roll call.
Okay, so the committee member Kenneth Each,
Yes.
committee member Blanco Cobo,
Yes.
committee member Naomi Blemore,
Yes.
chairman Michael McDermott.
Yes.
The first motion passes.
So how should we word the second one? I mean, yes, we can use the same vendor, but I would love to see what
Or even
another,
change the vendors.
yeah, I would love to see what another
You know,
vendor can
sustainability,
propose.
design, color.
Yeah.
How about I'm just thinking, like a motion to, basically, investigate, the possibility of increased durability from the current vendor and, perhaps new
sustainability.
vendors if it's not, satisfactory. Something along those lines.
I would go a little stronger.
So durability, sustainability,
Design, color, the whole 9 yards. I'd put it.
I don't think we can
you can't change the color.
change
We
the.
can't change the
or
design
Or the
guidelines.
design.
Can't change the color?
No,
No.
the design guidelines have been set. We cannot change those.
Yeah, I don't know whoever was on the, the council, at the time, but that's the design they picked. I remember these signs when they came up a while ago. But a motion to, investigate whether there are more durable materials, and paints that could be used by this vendor and other vendors.
Okay, do we have a motion? Kenny?
Are you gonna make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Okay.
So motion as per the CRA attorney. Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Committee Member Kenneth Each,
Yes.
Committee Member Blanco Cobo,
Yes.
Committee Member Naomi Blemire,
Yes.
Chairman Michael McDermott.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, moving on for items for discussion. Do we have any items for discussion?
Well, from the committee, do you have items for discussion?
Yeah, that's for you all. Whether
I
there's
will
any-
have a report, and I will have items to discuss in my report, but
Can we hear the report before?
Yeah.
So just in case if
Right.
there's something in the report that we would want to dive deeper into?
I have no report. Um, So, executive director report.
okay. So at this time, staff took the liberty of creating what we're calling committee books for each advisory committee member. I'm gonna pass them out and then we can discuss.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
As referenced, so I did want to say, well, first of all, happy new fiscal year to the NMCRA Advisory Committee. Unfortunately, last fiscal year, we did not have the opportunity to meet as often as I know all of us would have liked. So there's a lot of information that I wanted to try to present and kind of make sure that everybody was on the same page. So first, your first tab is actually a copy of Chapter 163. That's the Florida statute that guides the CRA. And that way you all could see just at the very basic level legally what we are empowered to do and things that we cannot do. The second tab contains all of our interlocal agreements with Miami-Dade County and the City of North Miami. Now, these are only the interlocal agreements between the three parties. These are not our smaller interlocal agreements like the one you approved tonight. But these will let you know, the most recent one will be added once it has been fully executed, but there was a fourth amendment that was approved by the county on October 3rd, so a couple weeks ago. And once we have the executed copy, we will amend your binders to include that. The third tab has our community redevelopment plan update that we have approved by the CRA board and by the city council. This is still pending approval at the county. However, it is our most recent plan update. So just know that we're still operating under our 2016 plan until the county does approve it, but we do expect that this will be approved before the end of this calendar year. And then the last tab has our current approved budget. And so it gives you a snapshot of, there are 4 tabs that you can see. It gives you what the proposed budget is called, the second amended budget. There were a few times that the budget had to go to the board and the county last year, but we ended up with our proposed third amended budget. So the second column is what we are proposing as our budget. We have the year to date, so that's what we actually spent, and now we're beginning with a fresh proposed budget for fiscal year 23-24. So a lot of what we're going to be discussing moving forward is going to be in your far right column. Those are the numbers that are going to operate and guide how we are moving forward. What I will, in tab 5, that is not here tonight, but will beginning in November, as long as we have quorum, are going to be our project updates. So staff will have a running tab of the projects that are currently underway, whether it is a infrastructure or TIF development project, or a commercial project or a residential rehab project. Any projects that are being done by the program, you will get monthly updates, so long as we have quorum, so that we can deliver those updates. And this is a way that we can try to keep everyone abreast of what's happening with the agency and making sure that everybody has up-to-date information. So that's one of the things. What I have also included in your packet, and I'm realizing is not stapled for some of you, I do apologize. If you go to the front flap of your packet, there is a document looking like this. And this is the budget workshop that we delivered to the board, and you didn't have the advantage of that. So I wanted to take the opportunity just to run through that very quickly with you all so you can get an understanding of what those numbers are on your budget sheet. So if we have a few minutes, I'll just go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Does everybody have their sheet?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So as you can see, last fiscal year, our revenues totaled $21,599,179. And this fiscal year, based on the new interlocal agreement that was approved on October 3rd at the county, our revenues are going to be $26,453,666. So that's an increase, and we're extremely excited about that. There is a huge carryover, however, and you can see that our carryover is $6.49 million. And what that is, and okay, so this figure, 6.9, is the most recent carryover figure. However, the numbers that you see in the carryover review page were done prior to us getting the updated number. So they may not match exactly, but I just wanted to show you that discrepancy. In our commercial incentives program, we have $1.079 million that is carrying over, and that is for 16 businesses that are still pending completion. They are underway. Probably by the end of the calendar year, a lot of them will be completed, but they did not get to complete by the September 30th deadline for that to no longer carry. So those are monies that we have carried over to complete those projects. For our residential program carryover, that number is $1.497 million, and that includes 28 residential rehabilitation programs that are projects that are currently underway and have begun. Again, will be completed, I believe, in short order, just did not make the deadline. Then we are carrying over $2.132 million for 5 infrastructure grant projects that we have not paid out yet, but again, these projects are underway. The next page talks about our accomplishments and the work that we have done in the last fiscal year. And as you can see, we did do the updated redevelopment plan, which is in your binder. We did award over $1.1 million for 9 businesses in commercial grants, over $400,000 for residential rehabilitation grants. We did complete 20 residential rehabilitation grants for $570,000, and we funded over $3.2 million for infrastructure projects. We did Freebie. We funded the pilot launch of Freebie for $250,000. I know that you all are familiar with Freebie. It's running in the... They had 4. We funded 4 vehicles. It was in city of North Miami, yes. I know that the desire and the need is for a lot more, but this was a pilot program, so 4 is what we did. We did fund $100,000 worth of improvements at the North Miami Library tot lot, along with $225,000 for the driveway approach program. We assisted 66 applicants for a total of $268,000 with our emergency rental assistance programs, where we had emergency rental assistance along with rental stabilization. We were able to help with the 4th annual Women's Empowerment Luncheon and the Run Nomi Run 5K. There was also the Government Week Business Breakfast, the Teach to Fish Business Summit that happened last year, not the one that just passed, that's in this fiscal year. And there was a blink camera distribution for 243 residents, along with the alleyway cleanup that was done in District 4. This year, we expect our proposed expenditures to be, again, we expect to spend what we are going to get. However, our administrative expenses are going up slightly, along with but our operating expenses are being reduced, along with our refund to our taxing authority. So the refund being reduced is a great thing for us because we're getting to keep more of the money to be able to do our programmatic work. However, our capital improvement dollars did increase because of our infrastructure allocations, which you will see on the next page. If you see the next page, there's a lot of numbers there, and these are for our infrastructure grant developments. And so the one I'm going to focus on is in fiscal year 23-24, we are committed for $10.2 million in infrastructure awards. These are contracts and obligations we currently have. These are not new obligations. These are the ones we've already signed and we're already committed for. So you see the projects that are already underway, and you do see the allocations there for each project. Now, we've been talking a little bit about the 4th Amendment that was passed on October 3rd, so I wanted to give some background on what that means and what that ILA did. So first, the city TIF refund. So before this, we had a different agreement with the city of North Miami for what we refund. We currently have now agreed to refunding them 100% of all of the TIF that is generated from the east side, and we will retain 95% of what's happening on the west side. And so that is a much simplified formula than what was there before. It does mean that it's a larger payment that we used to make. However, we negotiated and we thought that was in the best interest of both parties. Now, with the new county TIF refund, before, as you all are very well aware, we had a $1 million cap. So that meant no matter how much money we generated in our county TIF, we had to refund everything except $1 million. And we had to work with that $1 million to be able to operate and do our programs. Now, you have a question? Okay.
Yeah, we'll
now,
let you
okay, I'm almost done. Now, our agreement is that we will be able to keep 75% of all of the county TIF that is generated within our boundaries. Of that 75%, 35% must be spent on the redevelopment of Northwest 7th Avenue, that corridor, and that is for septic to sewer conversions, street and soil beautification, business rehabilitation, and to bring a mixed-use development to that area. Additionally, 25% of that 75%, beginning next fiscal year, so not this fiscal year, must be set aside for the Smart Corridor Transit Infrastructure Improvement District. It is known as TID. But those funds can only be used to fund transportation projects located within our boundaries. So there was a concern because, transportation initiatives do change sometimes, and as everybody knows, there are some mobility hubs and stops that may or may not be in certain places. If it is not located within the CRA boundaries, our dollars will not support that. However, we do need to make the allocation in our budget each fiscal year, starting next fiscal year. And then also very, very, very important, we did get approval from the county to go out for debt financing up to $60 million. So that will also help us to not only meet our obligations, but to fund new initiatives as well. And then, speaking of those new initiatives, we are going to be introducing slightly revised program guidelines. We will also continue funding our ERP upgrades with the city. That's a technological update with the city. We are going to continue renovating Pioneer Boulevard, along with doing our revitalization on Northwest 7th Avenue, a West Dixie Highway streetscape analysis, and our property disposal. Just a quick point, in the new plan, we did make Northwest 7th Avenue and West Dixie Highway priority corridors. And so what that means is we're able to have enhanced guidelines for any kind of development or activity happening along those two corridors. You will see on your final page that we are recommending a moratorium of, it was supposed to be there, but basically a moratorium of infrastructure grants. So a lot of the projects, that big $10 million amount that you saw, those are our infrastructure dollars that we've spent on development projects. The board has approved an infrastructure moratorium for new developments unless they are coming forth on Northwest 7th Avenue or West Dixie Highway. So right now we are more focused on doing TIF agreements with new developments that are not along those corridors. And as far as the program guideline revisions, we are seeking to increase the allocation from 25,000, well, it's really 20,000 with the discretion to go up to 25,000 per applicant, but we would like to increase that to 30,000. As we all know, inflation is real. $25,000 isn't going as far as it used to, so we would like to give our applicants the benefit of 5,000 extra dollars. In our commercial aspect, we wanted to reserve business attraction for the priority corridors of Northwest 7th Avenue and West Dixie Highway. As you may know, our business attraction or expansion grant is our highest funded grant. That is what goes up to $150,000. And so we'd like to reserve those for the priority corridors. We would also like to have a new program for new construction. This is why the grant rescission item that you voted on earlier, we were not able to say, okay, well, just use the money for new construction, because currently our guidelines don't allow for that. So we would like to institute new guidelines that will allow for new construction applicants, and also the beautification allocation to be increased to 30,000. We would also like to have a general conflict of interest disclosure included in our applications so that we can, have best practices. And then, yes, I did have it on the paper. For our tax increment financing and infrastructure program, we would like to implement infrastructure grant moratorium for large-scale development unless it's on a priority corridor. So that was a really swift run through
Wow.
of the workshop
Excellent
that
job.
happened. But I really do want everybody to feel like they're informed. It's a lot of information. Please go through it, and at our next committee meeting, have some questions for us. We'll be here, and I will be able to hopefully answer your questions, but hopefully this brings some transparency and some more light onto the operations of the organization. I know we just haven't sat down for a while, so I know everybody had questions.
Yeah, so everybody get out your pad and pencil and write down some questions and bring them next meeting.
Absolutely. There's a lot of
Well,
information to digest.
So there's, before we close,
Mhm.
I'm thinking that's the direction we're going into. There's something that I just really want some clarification on the record.
Mhm.
The $1 million cap, why did that happen?
So that was a cap that happened in 2016, and as we all know, that was long before my time.
Yes.
I'm not sure of what the political climate and the agreement was back then. I do know that it was not a choice for the CRA. I think the choice came down to you take the cap or you will be sunset, and we still wanted to operate, so we took the cap. But as more than that, unfortunately, I don't have that historical context.
Yeah, we had different people in place at the county.
That is also correct, and I'm just hoping to be the bearer of great news that cap no longer exists, and it is ancient history, and we are moving forward with 75% of our TIF to be able to really do some work for North Miami, its residents, and everyone.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Excellent. Go ahead.
As I recall, Solomia was 90% was coming from the CRA, is that correct?
Microphone.
Microphones.
Solomia was 90% of the TIF was coming out of Solomia, correct?
So
90, in other words, Solomia was supposed to give us it was all coming to the
Solomia,
CRA.
originally Biscayne Landings was
Biscayne Landings.
supposed to be the catalytic project to drive the financing of the CRA. It never happened to the level that anyone expected it to happen. the CRA was getting the TIF from Biscayne Landings, but then refunding to the city the west side TIF that it got from the properties west of Biscayne Boulevard, because, as you know, the North Miami CRA is geographically the largest CRA in the state of Florida.
We
So-
cover 60%,
60%, right?
60% of
60%.
North Miami falls within the CRA's boundaries.
So the transaction with the city and the interlocal agreement we did after the CRA was formed was to provide that refund to the city every year. And then the CRA was initially only created for 10 years. We were given a short life, I think it was 10, on the basis that we fund some sort of loan within that period. And we got a line of credit that we had, and it was expiring in, I think it was the 2016 time. And that's why we went back to the county, because we wanted to extend the life of the CRA. And the CRA hadn't really done significant projects up to that point. So the county said, we will extend you, but we're going to cap you with respect to how much money you're going to get from the county. And we're going to put some milestones in here that you have to meet, which we've met, in order to validate you going to 2044. So once we met those milestones, we went to 2044. The idea was, now we're doing much better. There's different leadership downtown, and it's time that we are able to get the TIF that we are, I don't want to say entitled to, but we're entitled to
Right.
under the statute, and that's actually 95%. But I don't think there's any CRAs getting 95% from the county anymore, and in fact, a lot of them are only getting 50%. So I mean, I think this agreement with the county sort of recognizes that the CRA was not being funded properly for the last 7 years, and gives us a better deal than a lot of other CRAs have, and now we can make up for lost time.
Okay. Now, my other question, thank you. I kind of brought back a lot of memory.
You remember
and a lot of
now?
history on that, yeah. My other question is, I'm looking here at the transportation hub, the transit hub. Now, that's including supposedly the new station?
Yes, it does. However, yes, go ahead.
And now, when is the date? When are we supposed to break ground? Where are we supposed to locate them? We're supposed to do 2.
Right. There are supposed to be 2. I don't have the details on that right now. I know that there has been some changes, so as soon as I have definite concrete information to share, I will.
I mean, I see Aventura's already got theirs up and going over there, and I'm just wondering where we're gonna put ours. I know 151st Street, where we're supposed to get a station, and 123rd Street, which is great. We're supposed to get 2 of them, but I'm just wondering where. And how much of is this supposed to be funded by the CRA?
So initially, there is an obligation for $15 million over the life of the plan.
50 million.
15.
Oh,
15, correct.
Well,
However,
I'm sorry, 15.
yes.
I apologize.
No
I'm sorry.
problem. However, with the new 25% requirement in the TIF, that can go towards that. So rather than finding an additional set of money, that would satisfy that requirement.
And the city or the CRA, we don't have any kind of a concept plan, an idea of where we're putting this?
I don't.
We should bring that up at the planning commission.
I think we're more of looked at as a funding source,
Correct.
and it's a city project.
Right.
So we provide the funding.
It's a city process.
a
Okay, so
city
we'll bring it up at the
project.
planning commission.
There you go.
Okay.
So, looking at this, the current infrastructure allocation, so there's about 6 projects that are receiving a total of $56.4 million. I want to understand with each project, is there a timeline for them to actually, 1, break ground, 2, to get a quarter into it, halfway into it, and then completion? And if there is that type of language in place, when or at what point would that information come to us? For example, if a project did not break ground at the time that it should, or it broke ground, it got halfway there, but they're unable to complete it. What happens?
Okay. So, and I'm trying to get to the page. Here we are.
Yeah, current infrastructure
Yep.
allocations. You have 6.
Yes. So I can
Projects.
tell you 1, 2, 3. 3 of these projects most likely will be completed next year. So they have already
Which 3?
broken the first 3.
Okay, perfect.
The first 3. The Rux Park is also in the middle of their cleanup process. So there was a contamination on the,
Contamination.
and so they're in their cleanup process, and we are working with them with that, but that is where they are in the process. The downtown P3 project is something that we are coordinating with the city, so we haven't even put out an RFP or anything like that. So that
Correct.
is still working. The mobility hub we just addressed, and the last project, I believe, is seeking to break ground either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. But this is the space where the project updates that we will be providing to you on a monthly basis.
Got it.
This will be the updates on each of these projects, along with the other projects that are going on in the CRA from commercial and residential. Will be including in those updates as well, so you will know what is happening. And I will take it as a point of privilege to let you all know on October 12th, which is this Thursday at I think about 5 p.m. The Cats is one of our grantees. They will be having a grand opening, so you all are welcome and invited. I will make sure my office has sent you out an email reminder so you all can attend, but also for you to be able to participate in the culmination of the work that is being done by the agency.
Excellent.
So, and
thank you.
I wanted to comment to the specific question. So on the larger infrastructure grants, there are conditions precedent. And I think there's typically 3. One of them is that you have to get your development approvals, your building permits, your site plan, your building permits by a date certain.
Okay.
Okay, so it's usually about a year out from the date of the grant agreement, but it depends upon the schedule. The second thing is they have to demonstrate to the CRA that other than the funding they're getting from the CRA, that they have the equity and/or the debt or both to complete the project.
Okay.
And what's the third thing that they have to, the condition precedent? I'll have to take a look, but we do have, the agreements are very
So
comprehensive
there are
documents.
benchmarks.
Once they start, they start. I don't think that there's actual benchmarks in there that like at 25% or 50%, they have to come back to us and, you know, or by a certain date reach that. But the grants are all on a reimbursement basis.
Okay.
Okay, they have to spend their money first.
Okay.
And then they come to us for reimbursement of a specific scope of work and line items that we're giving the money for. It's not just, here's $10 million, go spend it the way you like. Our money has to be spent on certain infrastructure items, such as water, sewer, streetscape, those type of things, which are part of the project.
And just to interject, there is one agreement, and probably moving forward, we will continue this, that is actually on a timeline of when we pay out, so that we
Yes.
do know when those things happen. But as Mr. Zelkowitz said, there is a very detailed scope that is provided to us, and we don't just, but like, if you are approved for $10 million, you're not just gonna spend any $10 million and then come back and show that. Like, you have to do it on certain things. There is a scope of work. We tell you what the eligible expenses on your scope of work is for, and that $10 million has to go towards those things, and you have to spend it first before we are able to cut you a check.
I think
Okay.
that's a very good idea. No, really.
And then my last question
Sure.
until next meeting, once I look over everything. The congratulations on the $60 million loan. I know you're new, but kind of give us an idea of what you expect to do with this, because obviously it's a loan that needs to get paid back.
Absolutely.
So we want to kind of get an idea of what your vision is.
So not my vision, but the board's vision.
The board's vision.
That I will execute.
Yes, the
And
board's
so that
vision that you
is-
will execute.
But that is exactly the issue. We will be sitting down with the board to go over and see which projects they want to fund in the first round. Remember, 60 million is a very big number, so the interest on 60 million is a very big number. So we don't want to take money unless we're going to be spending it within a short period of time. So we have the approval for 60 million, but we want to fund projects that we know we can put the money on the streets within 24 months. And
Good.
then after that point, we can take the rest. because again, those interest payments and that debt service payment really isn't going to be beneficial if you're not putting the money to work. So that is going to be really sitting down with the board and coming together with the projects that are going to be included in the first round, then going out getting that financing. Another issue to consider is that some of the projects may be taxable, some of them may not be taxable. Taxes are huge, even though we're not a tax exempt agencies for non-taxable purposes. So we want to be able to mitigate our costs as much as possible. So that also is going to be a factor into which projects we're going to be funding. Now remember, right now, everything that is being funded is being done out of cash flow. So whatever we fund does release some of that cash flow to be able to go back into internal operations.
So that's what I was gonna ask.
Yes.
Is it possible that this 60 million is going to go into new projects or
Absolutely. It's going to go into new.
not projects that are already existing?
It's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right? Because really, if we have the money, the way that the money is, I mean, it gives us breathing room, right? But it
Right.
allows us to take
No,
on
but the
other.
reason I'm asking is because, look at West Dixie Highway.
No,
I mean, like, we
100%.
can't-
But one of the things I want to show you is that if you look at the infrastructure allocation, some of them end next year. And so once a project ends, the calendar year that it ends in, so let's say a project is going to end in 2024. It hits the tax rolls of January, I believe, of 25. So then we start getting that money in the following fiscal year. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I think that the idea is for us to fund or complete as many of our infrastructure obligations to get projects on the tax rolls, because then that allows us to bring in more money. And then as we're bringing in more money, it allows us to do other operations as well. And then we have the loan money to fund other projects. That's
Yeah.
kind of the general idea of how that is. And we do have some projects that we know are earmarked to be complete pretty soon. So we definitely want to get those done.
I just want to make sure
Yes.
that we are going to spend this 60 million wisely, and that after this 60 million is spent, West Dixie Highway, 125th, and we know that,
Northwest
7th
Sounds
Avenue
right,
just got, 1 point something million. But we want to make sure
Absolutely.
that after this 60 million is spent, West Dixie Highway does not look the way it does, because it would be a shame that we would get this type of loan, incur this type of debt, and we have places in the city that are just not beautified, for lack of a better word.
Do you have a
Understood.
timeline on the loan?
With the process that is in place, I am hoping, and this is just a hope, not a promise, not like, make it as loosey-goosey as you can. My general hope is that we would be funded by February, very generally.
Why?
So to
You
understand,
said February.
for us to
February
go,
2024.
for the
yes.
CRA to get a loan, we have to do an RFP. So
Yes.
it's a competitive process with the lenders. So we put out an RFP, we want to borrow $60 million. It goes to all the banks, and whoever gives us the best interest rate, that's who we go with.
Okay.
Or
Correct.
the best interest rate in terms, obviously.
But in preparing for that RFP, there is a procurement process, but also the planning process on our end of choosing because once we get the money, we want to put it out there, right? We don't want to get the funding and then sit
Sit
down
on
for
it.
another 6 months being like, okay, who are we going to fund? No, we want to have that lined up. And so it's really, the board coming up with, who they want to be funded in the first round.
Got it.
Okay, thank you very much. That was very comprehensive.
When we borrow money on the bond issues and stuff like that, we've refinanced them in the past when the interest rates go down. We're gonna be able to do that?
That
I
would
don't
be-
know.
Well, that would be part
Yeah.
of the RFP process and
Right.
the terms of the loan itself. So, some of them have prepayment penalties, some of them do not. I mean, obviously, we would not want a prepayment
We
penalty.
don't.
Most loans will have like what they call 3-2-1, like, first, if it's in, the first 3 years, 2 years, or the last, in the first year, it's a lot, second year, it's less, third year, it's less. But I don't think anyone's seeing or contemplating interest rates are coming down for a while. But that's we have a financial advisor as well, who we've used in the past, who's worked with other CRAs and does governmental work. It's PFM Financial Group. They're a national company. They have an office in Coral Gables. So they'll be advising, once we do the RFP, they will go through the the responses. They'll provide a matrix and make the recommendations. So it's not the executive director and the attorney who are making those recommendations. It's a financial, an experienced and qualified financial advisor.
Right.
Thank you.
There's no public here tonight, so.
I do have one more item just to,
Oh.
not related to all of this, but
Okay.
just for your own benefit, there is something called the FRA conference that is coming up at the end of this month. It is going to be running from October 24th to 27th in Ponte Vedra, Florida. And so those members who are interested, the CRA is willing to reimburse you for registration costs. We're not able to assist with lodging, food, or hotel or anything of that nature, but if you would like to attend the conference and you do register, we can reimburse you for your
I'm
regis-
going.
I know. For your registration costs. So if you need that
I'll tell you, I think that I've gone for the last 3 years,
okay.
and it's really, really a great event to go to. You learn a lot. You get to meet a lot of people from different CRAs all over the state.
When is it? I'm sorry.
October 24th to 27th,
Yeah, I feel it's really worth going to.
And where's it at?
Ponte Vedra, Florida.
It's
Oh,
outside
oh, that's nice.
of Jacksonville, actually.
I know where that's at.
So it's hosted and sponsored by the Florida Redevelopment Association, the FRA, FRA conference. So if you just go to their website, you can get all the information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, just
I
if you
gotta
are
see
interested in
that.
going, please register and we will reimburse you for your registration costs. And then you can make your own hotel and food and all the other transportation arrangements.
Thank
Well,
you.
the hotel where it's being held is full.
Yeah.
I'm next door.
That's a nice resort.
Yeah.
That's the last of my announcements.
Okay. All right, being that there's no public comments, thank you all very much. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you.